I faded that song right when it was getting interesting. So, hello, my name is John Kulas. I'm a 20-year professor of industrial and organizational psychology. I'm a 10-year user of R for statistical applications. And for the last 6 or 7 years, I've been using R to author things like papers and websites and academic reports and feedback reports and technical reports, lots of reports. So every Tuesday, I get together and hold these open office hours and with some collaborators on authoring projects, and we're just here to help people interactively if they have questions about how to use R as an authoring platform. And in the meantime, if we don't have anyone popping by to say, "Hey, thinking about doing this, don't know how," what we've been doing is just exploring different features of this authoring platform. Um, but I interrupted myself because I was talking about that song. That's a beautiful song. Unfortunately, it's about 6 or 7 minutes long, and I'm running out of 2.5 minute songs to fill my little intro space there. So anyway, I might have to I might have to take some recommendations if anyone stumbles across this and has a 2.5 minute intro song that they want to suggest. I'm open to those suggestions. So every week we get together and um, I disabled my mouse wheel this week. And so now I'm going to have to figure out how to navigate my slide deck. Slides, as always, are posted in the chat. I think they come in as a comments later. If you're not here live and stumble across this later, they should be in the comments. If they're not and you're looking for them, drop me a note or drop me a comment, let me know, and we'll try to fix that. So every week, because these explorations are really open-ended and don't have a lot of structure to them, every week we'll go ahead and take a look at what happened the previous week and try to present it in a little more easily digestible linear format that helps us as well kind of reinforce what we learned about whatever the feature is that we covered last week. And last week we didn't get very far. So the previous 5 or 6 weeks we've been looking into options for interactivity in your authored reports or documents, whatever it is you're creating. Opportunities to add interactive elements that don't require Shiny. And so the whole Shiny ecosystem, the Shiny package, and everything that supports Shiny, we're trying to avoid that. And so we're going over different capabilities in terms of interactivity in your reports that do not require Shiny. And these are all fairly beginner to intermediate friendly with regard to the programming aspects of them. So you can get a really neat interactive visual with very few lines of code, and there's lots of examples out there that you can go and pull and build off of. So what we wanted to do last week, or at least what we wanted to start looking into, is how to get those interactive elements to render in a format that is nicer or that we have a little more control over. And we'll see what that means in just a second here. So we didn't get very far last week. Last week was just a completely off the cuff exploration into options. Now this week I did a little more digging and found some I found one really kind of slick option. We'll make sure to go over that. And if Diego shows up, we'll see if he has any ideas as well. As always, with all this R stuff, there's a million ways to do it. And this aspect of authoring with R is something that we're certainly not experts with. So we're just kind of learning this and kind of stumbling along and finding our way with this too. But I think I found a pretty neat solution that seems to be well, we'll test it a little bit tonight, and we'll see how useful it is across different platforms. There are hyperlinks, as always, in these slides. The interactivity hyperlink here is just going to bring us to a page that shows some of the packages that we played with, explains what a widget is, and then gives you some ideas of the capabilities there. So let's actually go ahead and take a look at what did happen last week.
Well, the attack of the abominable snowman came to grief when our boy Rocky zoomed to the defense of his pal Bullwinkle. The snowman definitely came off the loser, but then both our heroes were surprised to hear a familiar voice emerging from inside the snowman.
Get me out of here.
That's our friend Gidney the Moon Man.
But how can we get him out? He's been ate by the snowman.
No, Bullwinkle, he is the snowman.
Only half Rocky. I'm the other part.
Hey, that sounds like...
The name is Cloyd.
Gee, you sure sound like him, too.
Here, Bullwinkle, help me tear this cover off.
And when Rocky zipped open the cover, sure enough, there were the two moon men, Gidney and Cloyd.
Whatever were you doing in that getup?
Tell him, Cloyd. Well, I thought it would be a good joke.
Joke? It like to scared us out of 7 years' growth.
Yeah, our two guides still haven't come back.
Sure enough.
Yep, scared the two guides even. So last week we scared the guides, and then last week we also started to play a little bit with these different widgets. And what I had each week, I've been trying to just kind of capture and display a different type of image that we can play with here. And it's all the same volcano here that's plotted in three-dimensional space. But we have as the rotational capabilities, we have zooming individually on each of these individual plots. And again, just to be demonstrative of, you can have multiple images like this displayed in the same space, like we might do with Grid Extra, with multiple GG plots. We can also do that with, in this particular case, this is Plotly. So this is one of the interactive packages that we explored that's probably most directly applicable for quantitative stuff, for data visualization as a data scientist or someone that's working in an area that's close to data science that they might actually be interested in working with. And so the HTML widget aspect that we were interested in last week and that we're going to be focused on this week as well in terms of exploring and trying to see if we can exert a little more control over, largely has to do with the way in which this is rendered in this space. And so the rendering in this space, we've been seeing a lot of sliders. And so here we have I guess that would be what, a horizontal slider, so just left and right. And that's letting us know that the entire image isn't being displayed. If you want to see the entire image, you're going to have to do a little interactivity that isn't the focus of what we want in terms of interactivity. This isn't the type of interactivity we were talking about. We don't want it might be okay for some applications, but there's certainly going to be other times too where we don't want to need to require the user to exert this level of interactivity where we have to actually play with the slider. What we're talking about with interactivity is things like manipulation of the image themselves, zooming and getting some information upon hover, and twisting, rotating, that sort of thing. And so we did just kind of take a look and see what kind of options might be available to us, but we were looking within the HTML widget package itself, and I think, like I said, I think I found a solution that might be a little better. I put a new hyperlink in this week that covers a lot of the types of images that we covered with interactivity. Now, we didn't look at Diagram R, but Diagram R, we did look at Mermaid, and we did look at what was the other one? DataViz, I think, was the other package. And those, my understanding is those are subsumed under diagram R. Certainly, Leaflet we spent a lot of time with. Plotly we spent a lot of time with. There's some really neat. This is not a link that I had in previous weeks, but there are some really neat examples in here. And all of these, for the most part, these examples, the code that creates these examples, I didn't see this one. Now, I'm not a basketball fan, a huge basketball fan, but I'm certainly not a Celtics fan. It looks like it might take a little clicking to get to the Celtics there, so maybe we won't look so deeply in that one. I'm going to look for one that I haven't played with that maybe we can explore. As I said, the link to this is, the hyperlink is in the title of the HTML widgets slide. The HTML widgets slide that is, I think, the third or so in the deck. Some of these, let me go to one that I actually did explore because it looks like not all of these are going to be active. Or not all these are going to have a direct link to the actual image itself and the interactive nature of the image. Here we have some PNGs probably for space considerations. So these interactive elements are not being enabled on this one as well, or either, I should say. Now, I found a really neat one a little earlier. Here we go. So this network D3 link is going to have a bunch of different kind of neat options in it. And so the authors of this are bigwigs at our studio. And the other thing that we found out looking at these interactive elements is there's such a proliferation of contribution. And this is, I don't know, maybe it's one of the features of open source products that can be good and maybe can be not so great. But there's such a proliferation of packages that it's easy to stumble across something whose support and contributions kind of petered out a few years ago and were replaced with something else. And so still don't have a great method for staying on top of what's considered a bit not, I don't want to use the word obsolete because they still work and they're operative, but maybe doesn't have as much direct attention on right now. And so I don't even know what these things are, but they're cool looking. And so there's certainly this grayed out capability and the highlighting upon hover, and the fun thing about some of these is you can really manipulate them. So you can actually, this very subtle highlight upon hover is always a neat feature. But some of these you can actually take and you can do a little more with them. And I think there was one at the top or toward the top that had that. The other thing, there we go, I can actually kind of click it and drag it and pull it. And so if you're interested in, again, checking out some of the interactive, oh, it is all of these. Yes, I don't know. It looks like a creature from some sci-fi alien movie that I'm probably provoking, and then it's going to come and eat me here pretty soon. But if you're interested in checking out some of these interactive plots that we didn't necessarily go over, we were going over for the last 5 or 6 weeks here. We were going over interactive plots that are a lot simpler than these, but certainly the scripting for these is not all that crazy. And so these authors in particular, I mean, JJ Lair is like Mr. R Studio, so he's very good at coming up with examples that are really accessible. And so the scripting, what you see looks fantastic, but the scripting itself is accessible. And so if you're interested in checking out some of those options there, those are hyperlinked on this HTML widgets header here on the, what is it, around the third, fourth slide or so. So tonight, today, maybe I should change that today to tonight, huh? Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to play with this kind of, we're going to play with this, the element itself is neat. It's interactive. I can do stuff with it. I can change the type of map. I can, I can scroll over and we'll see where Diego is. Diego's here in central New Jersey. We'll see if he's home. Diego, hello, Diego. Are you coming today? So there's some interactivity there, uh, but the in this case horizontal slider on the bottom is something that is a little annoying. First world problem, yes, but if possible, we'd like to be able to control that a little bit and maybe get the whole thing to render just in one space. And so I'm calling this second one widgetized, and of course it's not rendering here for me directly. Now, the one thing that we're going to play with a little bit is with these HTML files. You may need to refresh, and I am on full screen here. If you haven't played with this type of slide, and again, this is authored with R, but there are tools on here, and I toggle between full screen and not full screen with the F button. All kinds of different things you can actually do with this. Let's get back to see if I can toggle that off. There we go. Sorry. So the widgetized rendering here, you can. So if you're accessing the slides and you don't see anything on one of these two tabs, you may need to refresh, or you may need to hit that F button. Escape gets you out of full screen, so F and escape kind of go back and forth. That's what I'm doing there. Hopefully I didn't make anyone queasy doing that. But you see here with the what I'm calling the widgetized version, you actually have the entirety of our interactive element displayed just in one window. There's no scrolling, and that's kind of the thing that we are interested in exploring tonight, is maybe some options to force your rendered interactive element, or what's generally called a widget, to be displayed in a way that you want or you prefer. And it was really bugging me the last few weeks that we would need to use this scroll bar here. And one of the reasons it was bugging me is because it's difficult on my computer to actually grab this scroll bar without, and now my internet's getting a little wonky. Sorry about that. The map is still there. It's just taking a while to catch up with my scrolling. But my computer, it's difficult to grab this bar that's kind of hidden right towards the bottom. And also I had on these slides, I had a feature enabled such that we could navigate the slides by using the mouse wheel. And that mouse wheel really kind of interfered with the interactivity of these graphs as well. So tonight we're going to take a look and see if we can actually see how to exert some control over your widget such that you can display the entire thing without those vertical or horizontal sliders. So let's just grab an interactive element, and we can create a new Quarto document. And what should we call it? We'll call it rendering in a window. Not a window, within a document. That sounds a little better. And I always like to just test the default file here. I don't think we're going to need anything in my project folder, so I'm going to try to save it on the desktop. The only thing that happens with that is it's sometimes difficult to get the entire document. So maybe I will put it in the project folder in the repository that we use for the online slides, and then I'll regret it later because there's getting to be so much stuff in there. But we'll go ahead and put it in here. and we'll call it rendering, I guess, or rednecking is a kind of mistake way to say that. Here we go. He must have seen us zooming in on his house.
Vamos a ver, ¿qué es lo que pasa con los alcaldes? ¿Qué es lo que pasa con los alcaldes? ¿Qué es lo que sí, qué está pasando con los alcaldes?
Hey, what's up? You were looking at house on the map?
Did you? Yeah. Did you feel? Did you feel our eyes on you, Diego?
Yeah,
You did. Oh
I
shoot.
felt a big brother.
Yeah. We went all the way from Great Britain all the way over to Jersey, and we were looking to see if we could see if what you were up to.
I
Um,
also I saw that you had um a baby video or something like that.
I did. Oh, in the slide deck. Yeah, in the slide deck. Let's take a look at that. I didn't have a baby video, but what I had was I had a GIF, and the GIF I thought was appropriate for our or for my difficulty maybe in uh in getting the rendered getting the rendered interactive plots to fit within the container that we want, right
Oh, I
within this.
see.
So so
Mealy
the
has one
baby,
like that.
yeah. Does she
She
cheat
saw
with it
she
too?
yeah yeah she does the same thing.
Just takes the top off and just puts it in. See,
Yeah
to me, that's smart. That's a sign of intelligence, or maybe
yeah.
frustration as well. I don't
It's the
know.
test design that fails here.
But do you see how nice? Do you see how nice the widgetized version is? And this is what I was trying to explain the other week. Was just by default these things come in so that you got to kind of scroll over to get the entire interactivity. But
Hmm.
if we do a little manipulation, then we can get it to render as just one entire thing. And so we're gonna try to do that. And so what I thought we could do is just do a blank template, put an interactive element in there, and then see if we can make it a widget. Or I'm sorry, if we can control that widget a little bit. So here's our template. Nothing in it, just standard boilerplate stuff. Let's go ahead and put in an interactive graph. Now I just had linked to those HTML widgets. Maybe we'll go back there and see if we can grab one. Unless you have something, Diego, that you want us to display as an interactive graph. And then next week we'll do parallax. Because I do last week I wasn't able to make much progress doing this, so I figured we probably should spend at least one more week on this. Where's the gallery? Uh, there we go, gallery. And we saw this neat one, so we'll see maybe if we can grab code and just reproduce this neat one. Did you did you see this, Diego? They have. Oh no, I'm in the wrong one. How did I get in the wrong one already? We had the. One of these hyperlinks are a little weird. I just had the doggone thing up. Network D3, that was it. Did you see these graphs? You can take them and yank them and like throw them all around.
Cool.
Isn't that cool?
Oh yeah.
Now, I don't know, like, the relationships between these things seems to change somewhat. So I don't know. Generally speaking, with a data visualization, I don't know if we want the user to have that much control. Um,
Yeah.
but it doesn't look to me like it's resetting completely to its, you know, previous shape.
I'm trying to think of a use for this type of graph. Um, I don't know. I guess.
Well, if you're node B and you're being chased by nodes F and E, you can use it as a game and just say like, I'm trying to stay away. Trying to get...
Uh,
That's a use.
You're never gonna win. What kind of game is that? I mean, they're never gonna catch up to you. You're never gonna lose.
That's the best kind of game. Who wants to lose a game? I'm gonna copy that code, put it in, and see if it works. Now it should work because I've already played with this a little bit. So you're gonna need network D3 as a package, and I already loaded that. But if you don't have it, you're gonna want to go to your install option and go network.
Today I wrote a Python script in
What?
RStudio,
Diego, don't admit to that.
but I did it in RStudio,
Oh, sweet. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
and
How'd that go?
it's actually easier than using like Jupyter or Spider or
Why?
any.
Autocomplete or what?
No, just because I'm used to RStudio.
Oh,
I'm just familiar with it, and you just go to the terminal and you can install anything. With Anaconda, it was a little bit tricky sometimes because you had to go to like you didn't have the terminal there. You had it like in another program, so you had to switch around, and I don't know.
and you're still not using Positron yet?
Nope, I have it installed here, but I haven't used it ever.
Okay. Well, we're getting this plot to look fine because it's just an HTML uh, document. We're not getting the annoying like vertical and horizontal bars like I don't like. So maybe in order to recreate the problem, let's put these in a smaller kind of default container, and that's easiest to do. I think if we do a presentation instead of a just HTML document. So let's do that. Let's create a new file, and again, we're just trying to reproduce the issue that we're trying to correct. So we need to create the issue before we correct it. So we'll do a reveal.js presentation. Uh, what should we call it? We'll call it. This is dumb, and I know we're not supposed to. Okay, I'll be better. What should we call this thing, Diego? I'm getting silly
Um,
with the file names. We should be more descriptive.
I don't know.
Size rendering, I guess. The title doesn't matter because we can go in our YAML and change that. The file name itself is probably what's more important. So if we render this, it's going to ask us to change a name, and I'm going to write over the previous one that we had. And now, so this should just be the default uh, slide presentation. So there's one slide, there's another, there's another, there's another. So let's see if we can actually get a problem going here. And so I'll do it on the first slide so we don't have a whole bunch to look at. So let's go ahead and put in that same code chunk and see if we can get our interactive pulley aroundy graph. I'm going to call it officially a pulley aroundy graph. Where'd it go? Didn't like something. Huh, what didn't it like? What did I do, Diego? I lost it somehow.
um,
There we go. That was
I
weird.
think
Maybe I just didn't hit render or something. I don't know. Well, now, okay, it's still there. I think what we maybe need to do is put in some columns so we squeeze it a little bit. Now you're seeing, you know, we're scrunching up the text. But if we put that text in a column, we could maybe, or one of the things I've been doing I'll show you how I do the code echoing. You can say echo true, and then I think it was the output location column. The actual command to get it in the next column, I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna pull it from a previous slide presentation that we have and see what that code is that I've been using. Output location. So output location column should put the code in the left hand column and then the image itself in the right hand column. So that echo is true is saying we want to see what it is. We'll see if we can scrunch it a little bit. Hopefully it scrunches. Aha!
There we go.
Scrunchy. Sweet. So this is what we don't want.
Kind of look. That's kind of cool.
You like that? Do you like the white better than what we're doing ours with the black?
Well, I think I prefer the black, but I like it that it's side by side because you see more of it. You know, on your screen you have more information. You don't have to scroll down.
Gotcha. Yeah, I kind of like that too. And actually, I wrote some CSS to control the relative size of these. So that's what this classes refers to. So I was having a hard time. Controlling kind of how big the left hand side was and how big the right hand side is. And this class, I'll show you the CSS for it, was a good workaround for that. And the CSS file is ridiculous. It's gotten so big because I'm crazy with fonts. So these are all the Google fonts that we've loaded over the weeks.
Oh wow.
And then there's a lot of there's a lot of control over just silliness that we have in here. But the non-silliness aspects that have actually been really helpful are these little bits of code here, and they come in pairs. So it's custom div columns, first child, and I had to find someone else that really knew what they were doing to help with this. But once these now are defined, we can go in and you can see I have a whole bunch of them in terms of left column, right column. I got a 70-30, I got a 60-40, 40-60. 50-50 I don't think I need because I think that's the default. But if we were to change this now, because that's in there, if we were to change that to 30-70, it'll make that code bit a lot narrower and it'll make the output a lot wider. And that's been a really helpful way to actually control this. I don't know if that's that visible, actually. Oh, that only works if I actually tell it in my YAML to look for that CSS code. So let's do, let's see, where do I have my CSS theme, I guess? So CSS is in there as a third level, it looks like. And I'm gonna leave league in there right now, just so we hopefully don't have as much error with it. There we go. So we're still not getting that. Why is that not showing up? Weekly. Where's our weekly?
What is not showing up? League?
My control over the actual 70. Oh, it's because I don't have. What did I say? 30-70. Yeah, we don't have a 30-70. I only have a 70-30. Sorry. You can see how you can start to proliferate with these things. So if I change this to 70-30, we should see a change then in the. So we should have even smaller here. So even more of an issue here. Let's see if we can reproduce that now. No, you don't like that background color, huh? The black?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
It's better than the white. And I guess so. I guess weekly. I guess one of them is black, and then the other is the white in center.
For
because you have two league and weekly. Oh no, wait, weekly is the CSS
oh,
file.
That's a good question. So, league is one of the built-in themes that they have that actually has this. I kind of like kind of like the washout in the middle. So you see where it's whiter in the middle, and
Yeah.
then it's grayer on the sides. So now if we actually change that to night, night was the theme that we had been using the first, I don't know, 30 or 40 or so of these sessions. And you can see where it's just plain black. And so
No,
it's a
the other
subtle
one,
diff.
the other one is better.
You like which one better?
League.
Yeah, I do too. But there's I guess it says here there's 11 built-in themes. It's these. And so I don't, I haven't checked all of them, but there's a solarized, I guess. We could try that. And then we'll get back to the point of tonight, which is trying to get that. Solarized doesn't look any different, does it? I wonder if that didn't. Oh,
The font.
yeah, the font changed. Let's get a different one, actually, as long as we're doing this.
I think you can look up the
Mm-hmm.
if you click on the link.
They're not hyperlinked, though. So
Hmm.
I think there's probably another way to. Sky is probably blue. I think there's another probably place to go where you can get a preview. And most of these I've seen, I don't know, again, there's such a proliferation of like help pages on this stuff. Ooh, yeah, that's terrible. Oh my God. All right, let's keep it because it's terrible. So we're going to take this and see if we can get rid of slidey guy. Now, I can't look at this though. We're going to have to.
No, the sky.
The sky is too bright. We need sunglasses. Simple, I'm guessing. Did we try simple yet? Simple's got to be pretty okay, I would think. We can also go in and change kind of the color of our code here as well, so it renders better. Okay, simple again is black. It's interesting they have so many black background ones. I thought we were kind of being unique with that when we did it. But we can see our image. Okay, so maybe we'll just leave that. I'm going to make it just a little bigger so we don't have to scroll as much. And then we can play with it and see if our workaround actually works. Instead of 60/40, let's make that code a little smaller and the image a
I
little
see.
bigger.
For the HTML, they have the links, but for this is reveal, right?
hmm
This is reveal themes. For the reveal themes, they don't have the hyperlinks. What the heck?
But they probably share some of those themes though, right? I'm guessing. Are the names similar?
Some,
Sky-
but not all. Like,
Oh,
like,
no,
they don't.
okay.
They don't have sky, or league.
So the what I did for this week's slides that was helpful to get rid of the slider was to actually, and I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to look at my code for this week's slides. Because the package itself, it took me actually a little digging to find the package, and the package wasn't HTML widgets. It was actually widget frame, and so widget frame was something that I came across that was really really helpful. And so let's put in. Let's just put in the second slide. The content we'll put in the same image, but we'll see if we can control it a little better. So I'm going to take the code chunk and just copy it and paste it here on my second slide. But this time I'm going to also load in the widget frame package, and we can go ahead and look at widget frame. And I guess I haven't clicked these yet. It doesn't look like they've been clicked. And the options on this, and we'll just go right down to the options that I used, is there's this function called frame widget. And frame widget takes takes a bunch of information such as height and width, but there are also defaults in there. So if we do, maybe what we should look at is frame widget R and take a look at that function and see the options here. So the options here are you're going to want to save your widget as an object, and then again it has width and height, and I was playing with that this afternoon actually, trying to get it to look just right, but it turns out that if you just leave these default values in, it should render to the size of the container pretty well, because the defaults are 100% of the container, and then height null. I'm not 100% sure what null actually means, but it seems to work. So we're going to use frame widget from the, what did I say? From the widget frame package. Great idea, guys. Let's call our function the exact like bastardization of the package name. Diego, that's like if we called our function cttirt. No, I don't know. How do we? What's our package? ctticc.
ICC. Yeah.
So if we call the function ICC-CTT, that'd be the same thing that these guys did. But we can't be too mad because what they provide seems to be kind of cool and work pretty well. So we'll go ahead and do frame widget. And we'll just see if we can wrap this. Let's see if we can wrap the entire plot call here, because I don't see why we shouldn't. They say they want an object, but we should be able to just wrap it as well here on line 46. I don't know why that wouldn't work. So let's try it. Let's see. Wait, it sure thinks a lot, doesn't it? Okay, so I would say that's better. So I lost the, it's centered. So I lost the horizontal left and right slider. Now I gained, and I wasn't expecting this, but I gained a up and down slider, but it's framed better. It's framed just right in the middle, which actually I like. The up and down, we can see if we can play with that a little bit. The other thing I guess it did was it gave us a white space in the background. I wasn't expecting that. Do you see that, Diego?
Yeah. Yeah, that looks odd.
That's interesting. So, that's actually really good to know. So that's something different that I wasn't expecting to actually happen, that I didn't see happen with other plots. Let's go ahead and see if the size of the container is maybe
I'm sure
having an issue.
there's a way to center the slider.
You know, that's not, so I was wanting to do that too if we have enough time. I was wondering if we could control some of this, Diego, with chunk commands. So figure size, figure location, that kind of thing was the other thing I was thinking. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I mean, something to set the slider, yeah, in the center as default, by default.
Okay. Should we look into that? I haven't, that's not something I'd ever thought about, but that would be something we could do tonight. I'd be okay with that. Because the frame widget function from the widget frame package is a really neat option if you don't like the way these come in, if the container looks like it's too big for the object you're trying to display. So that's one neat option. But I like that idea, Diego. I'm fine with that. I mean, no one else, there's no comments, there's no one asking us to do anything different. Should we look into whether on the rendering we can control where the slider is, what the view is? Or do you want to explore further how to actually,
So this is with the widget frame package?
I'm using widget frame, yeah.
With the function frame widget. Maybe
With the
do question mark frame widget. Maybe they already
Oh.
have
Yeah, it might be in the package. I'm not sure. I didn't. There are there's a bunch of options that we can actually apply. Let's take this one instead. So there's a different plot here that's a little bigger. I wonder maybe we should maybe take a look at that. Um, Let me see here. So I'm not going to wrap this one. I'm just going to see if we can render it and get a fancier plot. I wasn't
Not
expecting
too
that. Did you see
hot
that?
now.
The thing unfurls. Like it starts out as like a rolled up ball of tinfoil and then it like unfurls itself.
Yeah,
Did
it's
you
like a
see that?
transform. It's like a transformer.
It is a transformer. This thing's Bumblebee right here. Or Starscream or something. Boy, I didn't notice that background before. I would like one thing I wouldn't mind doing is seeing if once we put it in that widget, if we can maintain the transparency, which is what we're seeing on the background, and what we're losing when we use frame widget or widget frame. But let's go ahead and wrap that and see if we can actually uh, get it. We'll make it an object because that shouldn't have any different. It shouldn't make any difference. But what was the command? Frame widget. So it should come up more centered. Uh, our expectation is that it does. Yeah, that looks pretty good. But again, I guess just upon default, you have to be okay with the losing the transparency of the image. This is reading in like a PNG with that transparent background. But when we put it in the frame, the widget frame, we're losing that transparency. Now we're also getting this. I wonder if we set height, if maybe we can do something with that. Let's see. I don't know if it'll take percent or if it takes a number. Try a percent. Yeesh. You know what? I think it
Well,
read that as
made it.
just
It
a
made it
number.
tiny. If you put it 0%, I think it'll be the full widget.
You think it's backwards like that?
Yeah, seems like.
I think what's happening is it's reading the 90 but not the percent. So I think if we do like 500. Now, I don't know if these are M's or pixels or what, but and actually I think quote double quote might have an effect here. There's a height option and there's a width option on this. I shouldn't keep I think I broke R. I keep rendering over. Let's see if we can control that a little better. Yeah. So that is actually giving me the height.
Quotation marks.
You think I should use quotation marks?
No, well, it seems that it's with the quotation mark, without the quotation marks, it changes the actual size of the whole widget.
Yeah, I think when I was looking at the documentation earlier, it was weird. They had height and width in different preferred units. So one of them was percent of container, and then the other was uh, it's either PX or EM. I'm guessing is what that is. So height, we can certainly change the height, but it's always giving us this scroll bar. Now it's not as annoying here because um, it's not as annoying here because the whole image is centered and located exactly where we want it. Should we try it with a different type of object, like I really like how it unfurls. Should we try it with a leaflet map, or should we try it? Should we go back to your suggestion, Diego, and see if we can get this to come in loaded such that the widget is centered?
I think we can move on to a leaflet because this is I mean, it's not. It's a tiny detail. Uh, unless
Yeah,
you're like
but
a
that
really
that's
control
also
freak.
kind of what we've been doing on these weekly sessions is doing tiny details. Somebody's gonna wanna, you know how this stuff goes. Somebody's gonna be trying to do that, but I'm fine with either. Like I said,
Yeah, I
nobody's
guess
leaving any.
programmers like to control everything. That's
Yeah,
why they're programmers.
man, I just want to yank this one like all the way off the screen. Ah, don't go back. But he always goes back.
You want to break it?
Yeah, kind of. Feeling a little destructive. I want to know what it is besides a pulley map. Pulley springy. It's a pulley springy map. Okay, Diego, we got time for one more thing. Do you want to do a leaflet map, or should we look at the if we can zoom in on a centered location on the non-widget, on the non-framed widget?
Yeah, let's do that since we only have 10 minutes. Yeah,
Okay.
guess maybe. I don't think it's going to be. Maybe it's on the force network function.
Force network?
Because that's the function you're using to create the plot.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You think it's in here?
Yeah.
Okay, you can. That's in the. If you want to look for that, that's in Network D3. The package is Network D3, and I'm just gonna do an open. I'm just gonna do an open Google search on this. See, people are gonna be controlling it with CSS, so we probably could do that as well. So CSS would be telling it that we want the container to be kind of smaller. You can also control this, I believe, in the YAML. Blueprints. I'm not sure what a blueprint is. Well, while you look, let me do a few kind of just basic things and see what happens. Let's do, let's see. What's fig env? I don't know what that is. I don't know why I lost my. Lost my autofill on that for some reason. So that might be an easy way to do it, Diego. Look at what just happened there. No. Might want
Remove this the slider entirely.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's better. Slider was annoying.
So, yeah, you agree that the slider's annoying. So, the frame widget, definitely an option, but we didn't play with it enough to see if we could get rid of a slider that comes in there, just kind of a helpful slider, not an annoying slider. It certainly wasn't as annoying as this, but it looks like you can probably just with the code chunks also control that with the code chunk commands. So figure width, for example, there I went too much, so try to back it off a little bit. And there's also, by the way, there's another way to do this preview without doing a full render. Looks like it want 6 looks like the one that is most helpful for the size of the container that I actually have right here. So you'd have to play around with that a little bit. It looks like the height might be a little compromised when we do that. Depends on,
Yeah.
kind of depends on the size of, but the whole
Yeah,
thing is
looks like
there.
IMAX.
It's like what?
IMAX.
IMAX. Let's before we drop tonight, let's do the same thing to our fancy one and see if we don't need to wrap it. Are you guys still, are you eating yet tonight or did you eat already? Millie, is she hungry?
Oh, you can hear her?
Yeah, she got good lungs.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I know. No, she already ate. She's going to bed in a bit.
Yeah, what's her bedtime now?
8:30, sometimes 9.
So it didn't work as well on 9. Oh, okay, that looks okay. You're seeing it cut off a little bit here on the right. Now that's a little odd. So that's interesting. That's telling us that fig width is having kind of a different sort of effect here on this. So might have to expand that. But that's neat.
Good night.
So we actually have a couple of different options here to exert better control over these. And again, the kind of, I guess the caveat here would be that you're going to lose that, at least on default, unless you fooled around with it a little more. You're going to lose that background transparency, which, if we weren't rendering to a slide deck that has a background, we obviously wouldn't even notice that. So what are our other options? I think I still have that up here. Wasn't there well, there's a default. So default probably is white, I'm guessing, background. This is not the solution that you and I would typically choose, just change the background. But probably is one option. Man, it really likes that black, doesn't it? I wonder if I can I'm scared to take off that second one because those square brackets generally mean concatenate. Now, why am I not getting my white background? Oh, you know why? It's because of my CSS. I'd have to take off my CSS. So we're gonna lose the 4060, but that's okay. Oops. So we should be able to get a white background here, just on the default reveal. And yeah, so then the actual, the fact that we're losing background transparency here isn't as big of a deal to me. Okay. Still, if we had a little more time, I think we could probably get rid of the slider entirely. But I think just that's a very simple solution, and that's an accessible package. Um, we'll go ahead and put it up here as well. The widget frame package, just wrap if
You
you're
know what we could
joining
do?
late.
I guess go to the source code and look up what's creating the slider in the first place. Maybe we can remove that with CSS code.
Yeah, I think so. The really brief look that we did was definitely people were suggesting CSS, and I know. Well, there it wanted to add one now too. That's funny. We didn't have it before. Now we're getting that vertical. Now we're getting that vertical slider. However, I'm a lot happier with how these are being rendered. Right? They look a lot better than they do without the framing. And again, the slider, it's a little annoying, but it's not as bad as when you have a slider that's more meaningful. When you don't realize that the object that you should be looking at is way over here out of frame. So the framing itself is great just for that. So next week, Diego, unless somebody wants us to look deeper into this and see if we can get rid of this vertical scroll, which I don't mind actually. I think we do your parallax. Parallax, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still don't fully understand what it is, so you might be
It's about scrolling. Our
oh
favorite
great, more
topic.
scrolling.
Yeah.
Our,
But you scroll like the whole background of the website. As you scroll down, the whole background of the website moves. Um, so you see more of the background. I thought it was kind of cool.
okay. Yeah, well let's take a look at it. All right. And then I will see you on Thursday for our normal meeting, right? I put a new issue up in the repo for that I think a new feature request. So,
Okay. See you then.
okay, see you.
Yeah.
Thanks
Have a good
everybody.
night. Bye.
Bye.